We've done stories about the Oregon Trail, and this is a story about what came after the Oregon Trail. For nearly 20 years, no one opened this door. When it was finally unlocked, they found a world left behind by two men. Who were they? And how did two men, thousands of miles from home, create one of the most remarkable stories of the American West? In 1862, gold was discovered around present-day John Day in eastern Oregon. Thousands of people moved there, seeking their fortune. In around 1880, there were about 300 to 400 people of Chinese descent living in John Day. So two of those people left a remarkable legacy, Lung An and Ing He. Lung An was a businessman. He was fluent in both Chinese and English. And also he was an entrepreneur, starting a number of businesses in the area. And he also ran a general store. Ing He practiced traditional Chinese medicine. And he was so successful in what he practiced that people came from across Western United States to seek treatment. Both came to Oregon during a time when thousands of Chinese were arriving in the American West, seeking opportunity. In 1887, they purchased a small trading post in John Day, Oregon. Together, for the next 60 years, they built a business, a community, and a life far from the homes they had left behind. Behind their success was a sacrifice they carried for the rest of their lives. Like so many others, both men left their families behind in China. For Ing He, that separation is preserved in a letter found inside the building, written by his father in 1903. More than a decade had passed since Ing He had left home. His father wrote, "My son, you have been away for more than a decade. Everyone at home is anxious and worried. If you do not think of your mother and me, think of your wife and son." His father pleaded with him to send help and hoped that one day their family could be reunited. But that reunion never came. Ing He, known to his patients as Doc He, became one of the most respected healers in Eastern Oregon. Using traditional Chinese medicine, he diagnosed illness by reading a patient's pulse and prepared herbal treatments by hand. At first, his patients were mostly Chinese workers, but over time, word spread far beyond John Day. Ranchers, miners, and families from across the region came seeking his help. Patients traveled from across the West, including California, Nevada, and Oklahoma. There's a story that was told when I was visiting the site in John Day, where he practiced his medicine, that a local rancher, had cut his leg cutting wood, and it became infected. And this was before antibiotics had been invented. And so he went to a regular doctor, and the doctor wanted to amputate his leg in order to save his life. And the rancher wasn't thrilled with that news. And so he went to seek out Ing He and asked him if there was anything he could do. And Ing He scraped the skin, applied an ointment, and then repeated that process day after day. And it worked. The infection went away, and the rancher was able to save his leg. And success stories like that spread the news far and wide that this was a successful way to get treatment for medical problems that traditional Western medicine was not able to treat at the time. And so a lot of people came to Ing He over the years seeking treatment. While Doc He cared for the sick, Lung An helped people navigate life in Eastern Oregon. He was a businessman, translator, and advisor to Chinese workers throughout the region. Fluent in both Chinese and English, he managed the general store, connected workers with employers, and helped resolve disputes between Chinese workers and local businesses. But Lung An was more than a translator and businessman. He was an entrepreneur. He invested in mines, real estate, and local businesses. He became one of the first automobile dealers and service station operators east of the Cascades. Lung An died in 1940. For the first time in more than 50 years, Doc He was alone. In 1948, he suffered a serious fall. He locked the front door and left for Portland to recover. He expected to return in a few weeks. He never did. After Doc He died in 1952, his nephew donated the building and its contents to the city of John Day. The city of John Day simply forgot that this building was there, and it sat closed and unused for almost 20 years. Then, about 20 years later, the city of John Day was thinking about making a city park in that area, and they did some research, and they realized that they owned the building. So they opened the door and went in, and it was like walking into a time capsule. Everything had been left the way it was. And when you go there today, the building is now owned by the state of Oregon, and it's under the state park system. You go in and you see it exactly the way it was. You see the chair where the patients sat when Ing He would treat them. You see all the herbal medicines laid out there on the counter that he used. You see the general store exactly the way it was, with all the cans of fruit and produce just left there exactly as it would be when someone walked in through the door. Then they found something else. Inside was a box containing more than $23,000 in uncashed checks from Doc He's former patients. No one knows exactly why he never deposited them. It captures a remarkable part of Oregon's history that very few people know about. And I didn't know about it either until I actually went there. And this is a chapter of another group of people, another group of pioneers who came to Oregon seeking the American dream. And so this is a case where people came from China to Oregon and made a tremendous contribution to the state, but their story is not well known as the people that came on the Oregon Trail. But anyway, I hope you have a chance to see this place for yourself. It's an amazing place. And it brings history to life when you can actually see the things the way they were, the way it was preserved. So this is not John Day. We're in the Willamette Valley, but it's such a beautiful area here. I thought it was worth sharing. A summer sunrise in the Willamette Valley. The Willamette Valley was the area where all the immigrants who came across on the Oregon Trail wanted to come. It was the Garden of Eden. And it really is an amazing, beautiful place. For decades, the story of Ing He and Lung On remained hidden until someone opened the door.